Hey everybody, thanks for looking in. I wanted to check in and talk about some stuff actually, because I'm doing what I always do, which is just put my head down and trying to do miles, which is exactly not what this thing is about. I was stopped by I was stopped by a family just now who just wanted to give me a bit of encouragement, which is really cool. But they said they also had a child with a rare disease who passed away when he was 8 years old. And they said something that just made me think, and that was that in this country we don't talk about rare disease. And we should. We talk about everything else. We talk about gender and sexuality, and we talk about cancers of all shapes and sizes, but we don't talk about rare disease, and that's wrong, because there are 3.5 million people in the UK who at some point in their life will be affected by a rare disease. And if you add in their close friends and family and the people who support them and care for them, that becomes tens of millions. So you're talking about 20-25% of the whole population of the UK are affected by rare disease. And 50% of those people who have a rare disease are kids. Little kids. Kids who need huge amounts of care and support, who just don't get it. 1 in 3 kids in the UK with a rare disease don't live to see their 5th birthday. They die. And that's not right. Those aren't first world figures, because that just doesn't sit well with me. We had to wait 7 years for a diagnosis. 7 years. That is longer than the average. The average person with a rare disease in the UK can expect to be misdiagnosed 3 times before they get a diagnosis. So they're told they have 3 different conditions before they actually figure out what it is. And in our case, until we knew exactly what Hasty had, we couldn't get the council to get her into the right school. We couldn't get the correct clinical support. We couldn't get support from GPs. We couldn't get speech and language therapy support from the local council. None of those things happen until you have a diagnosis. So if you have to wait 7 years for a diagnosis, that is far too long. And that's not right, but that is going on every day in our country. Little kids dying all over the place because rare disease does not receive enough attention or investment or research. I have more often than not gone in to see a GP or an emergency room and said, Hasty has CDLS, a fever for her is really dangerous. A fever that persists beyond 24 hours could be life-threatening. And just to have a doctor say, I don't know what CDLS is, and then they Google it. And that doesn't inspire confidence when you're sat in a doctor's office and they're Googling what your daughter has. I can Google stuff. I Google stuff all the time. I need a doctor who's been trained and understands rare disease. And if you think, well, it's not me, it wasn't me either. I was the guy who thought these things happen to other people. Even when Hasty was born, I thought, this doesn't happen to me. These things happen to other people, but they don't. They're totally random, a lot of them. And you don't see them coming, and they just blindside you on a Tuesday, or on a Thursday in my case, when you think you're going camping for the weekend and you're not. We need to be talking about this more. So if you're watching this video and you've managed to make it this far, if you have rare disease in your life, you need to share this video with everybody you know and ask them to share it with everybody they know. And I'm going to share it now with Genetic Alliance, who are the advocates of rare disease in the UK, so they can share it with everybody they know. Because we, as a country, need to invest in these little kids. There are nearly 2 million kids in this country with a rare disease. 1 in 3 of them will not live to be 5. Just let that sink in. That is not right. And I shouldn't have to, as a dad, walk across the country barefoot to raise money for my own daughter's treatment. Anyone, anywhere else would be able to walk into a doctor's surgery and they would say, yeah, we've got these medicines, we've got this and we've got that. CDLS is eminently treatable, but we are having to generate the money, commission the lab, run the scientific advisory board, run a charity to make a treatment for our daughter and other kids with CDLS a reality. That's not right. We have a government that we pay to do that stuff. And the rare disease framework in the UK runs out, the policy expires because it's 7 years old. It expires in December. So much has happened in medicine and science in 7 years, and the government are not focusing on this. And since COVID landed, all that's been put to one side. And in my case, as a parent to a child with a rare disease, all consultations, all therapies, all doctor appointments, all cancelled. There was no negotiation, no consideration of what the impact on her health, education, well-being, mental health might be. Everything was just cancelled, no questions asked. And that will have been the case for lots and lots of people. And I don't think that's good enough, and more needs to be done. I've launched a petition, which will be going live very soon, hopefully, if it's approved by the guys who look at petitions, asking for the government to finalise a rare disease framework for the UK before the end of this year and before it's too late, because that's work that needs to be done. And Gemma Boggs, thank you for writing that. You know, people don't talk about these things. We need to talk about it. Just share this video. I can only reach a few hundred people, but you guys can reach hundreds of thousands and millions of people. This needs to be a national thing. This affects everybody. Okay. I need to keep walking. And I've cut my foot again. Brilliant. Thanks, guys.